skip to my MMA.
In soccer terms, Robbie Keane said he always felt more comfortable wearing the Irish jersey than any other. But when he fought, well, first at home and was in Dublin Boxing Club. It was a place in his fought. He never felt more at home than when he came home when he started off first in Dublin. His love for...
Let's go, champ.
The scary part is he's getting better, right? I mean, the scary part is that this momentum is not flukish. It's not catching lightning in a bottle. I mean, the guy's 30 years old. He came in very, very young into the WEC, just a few years older when he's in the UFC. And you look at his recent run, it's not a mistake. It's not, he just got easier opposition. Like, you can actually tangibly, visually see a different fighter, specifically defensively for Dustin Poirier. And he's not getting lured into brawls. He's finding moments to kind of like, not coast, but like, hey, for this third round, maybe I'm just going to push Holloway against the cage for like a minute or two, try to calm down a little bit. Like, his specific techniques are better. His fight IQ is getting higher. His cardio is still top notch. Like, this is a different Dustin Poirier than even just 2 years ago.
Yeah, it is, and we're going to need to see a different Dustin Poirier if he's going to get the belt off Khabib, because the one thing that we've not seen a great deal in his last few fights is a lot of takedown scrambles and takedown defense, and you've got to think that the first thing Khabib's going to do is as soon as Poirier squares his hips up to start throwing those power hooks, he's level changing underneath. And you know, how does he fare after sort of 10, 15 minutes of hard grappling takedown defense? That's what I'm interested in. And I'm not saying that he can't do it, because from what we've seen, I'll be honest, I actually expected Max Holloway to edge it and win on the scorecards. So I was impressed that Poirier was able to grab that fifth round, because I kind of felt like once those first couple of rounds were out the way, it was going to be Holloway's to run away with. Sure. But you know, with Dustin Poirier, the question is, can he do the same thing to Khabib? Can he damage him enough in the early rounds to slow him down, Or does he have enough gas in the tank to fight through the early rounds and still be strong enough to make enough of an impact in the championship rounds? It's an entirely different fight, and that's why it's promising to see Poirier's adapting from one fight to another and improving still.
I thought with Kelvin's ability to really pressure hard and his grappling ability and his wrestling and cardio, Kelvin is a cardio machine. I thought that he would struggle with the first couple rounds, and then he would start to take over by pressuring Israel. And that's how I thought it was going to go. And it didn't really go that way. I had Kelvin win in the first round, but he landed big at the beginning, and I think that that's where the round was won. As the round drew on, Kelvin's left hand started to fall a little bit short as Adesanya was starting to figure his range out and adjusting to kind of Kelvin's distance and timing. And from then on, Israel kind of took over. He really picked up on those body kicks, and his frequency and his variance in the strikes he was throwing was just a lot for Kelvin to handle. And if he would back off of the body kicks, you'd see Kelvin start to work back into the fight, and Israel would go right back to him and start backing Kelvin up. What was it, the fourth round? Kelvin had Israel hurt really bad. I thought he missed a big opportunity to try to finish there. I think he was trying to play the long game by not gassing himself, trying to finish him by shooting that takedown. But I think that really was his only moment to win the fight, and I think he kind of wasted it by shooting the takedown.
So would you say he started a bit too fast then? Because, I had him winning the first round quite comfortably, and then he started the second round quite well for me, and then that was when Adesanya seemed to kind of start to find his range. He started to re-establish the distance between the two and then start to punish Kelvin as he was moving through it. But do you think maybe if Kelvin had started a bit slower, he might have been able to, kind of read a bit more and bank some information in his brain for the later rounds?
Yeah, I do. I think that he came out hot, and I don't really think that that's Kelvin's pace, at least in that fight. Fights are about pacing. And I think Adesanya fights really, really well at that super high pace. And he was getting caught, as Kelvin was coming out firing. But as the fight went on, I think that Kelvin was focused in the wrong spot. I think that he was really focused on having a high pace and pressuring. If he would have been more focused on the pressure, I think that he would have been a little bit more successful. Rafael Cordero talked a lot about not standing in front of him and stopping. And sometimes I think people get lost in that a little bit when you're striking. So I think you can be in front of someone and not stop moving, but I don't think you always have to be doing it super fast. You know what I mean? I don't think that your pace needs to be high. You can do it with slight movement and, shoulder feints and head movement and still be outside of that range and then explode in. I think you're 100% right. I think that the pace is a little high, and then Kelvin had to back off the gas a little bit. It's just the way that he treats people, the way his condescending attitude and how disrespectful he's been towards me. I've never done anything to that guy. I get it that now we're in the same weight class, but I've never taken the route of building my own star off of, disrespecting and stepping on other people. That's just not anything I've ever done, And Israel Adesanya was talking about his thoughts about John Jones post-fight, and I have a similar sentiment towards Luke Rockhold. I don't like bullies, and I'm not the guy I'm not going to let Luke Rockhold walk all over me. I'm fine if you think you're going to beat me up and think you're better, but there's a way that you can do it without being just a complete disrespectful asshole. And, I've been dealing with this Luke Rockhold thing for a while, and I'm just over it. I'm done with him talking so much trash and just sitting on the beach in his stupid videos just trash talking everybody, And he doesn't have a place to do that. He's lost 2 out of his last 3 fights by knockout. I'm here working and I'm taking the tough fights. Look what I've been doing. I had Rashad Evans, Shogun Hua, Volkan Ozdemir, John Jones. I'm working here. So I just don't know where his beef with me is.
Do you think he's kind of getting what he wants though, if you do, offer him a fight when he steps up into the division?
Yeah, I do. And that's kind of what is frustrating now. My wife tells me constantly, stop talking about Luke Rockhold. Because at the end of the day, whether he likes it or not, I'm the name in the division, and he's not. He has no ranking before his name. He's lost 2 out of 3. He's trying to get his way into a big fight, and honestly, I'm giving him that opportunity, and that's a little bit disappointing. But at the end of the day, I'm a fighter, and I don't like him, and I don't like the things that he said, and I don't like how he approaches it, and I'd like to beat him up. But, as soon as that stuff came out of my mouth, I could feel my phone in my back pocket vibrating, and I knew exactly who it was. It was Michaela immediately sending me text messages like, you need to stop. You need to calm down. I know that you hate him, but you're just giving him more shine. And she's 100% right. I think everyone has their boiling point, and there's a lot of people that probably didn't like to hear me talk like that. And to those people, I am sorry, but I think that everyone has a point that they just get frustrated and they're sick of it and they're over it. And it's not a bad thing for me to go in angry. I think in the John Jones fight, we've seen an overthinking, calculated, and calm Anthony Smith, and that didn't necessarily work out that well for me. So I don't know if Rockhold thinks getting me pissed off is going to be good for him, but